During the speech, the Foreign Secretary acknowledged the West's legacy on the landscape of the Middle East and South Asia and the anger that the invasion of Iraq had aroused.
More recently, the invasion of Iraq and its aftermath aroused a sense of bitterness, distrust and resentment. When people hear about Britain, too often they think of this part of our history. These events that I've mentioned are associated with a history of relations between Europe and the Islamic world that is characterized by conquest, by conflict and by colonialism. But that is only part of the story. There is a different tale to be told. It doesn't erase the conflict, but it does establish a different narrative. It's a history not of conflict or confrontation, not even of coexistence or tolerance, but actually something much better, of interchange and mutual contribution.
Mr. Miliband said that the UK needs to understand the Muslim world better and work with Muslim-majority countries to tackle seemingly intractable global problems.
To broaden the coalition and win consent, we need to understand the Muslim world better, or we will risk undermining the force of our own argument, as I have sometimes done when using the labels moderate and extremist. We need, secondly, to hold fast to our own values and support those who seek to apply them. If we don't, we will be guilty of hypocrisy. And thirdly, we need a shared effort to address the grievances, socio-economic and political, that are perceived to keep Muslims down, and in fact do. The argument starts from a recognition of difference. It's based on the belief that there can be no single answer to the question of how we should live. I do believe that there are universal values that can be traced through different and divergent cultures and religions. I do believe there are basic human rights that must be observed by every government and by every individual. But as the Prime Minister has powerfully argued, there is a global society where universal rights and values still leave room for extraordinarily rich and different ways of living.
The Foreign Secretary also paid tribute to the contribution made to British society by Muslims in the UK.
Britain's history means we have baggage that we have to acknowledge as we build coalitions and forge consent. But in our Muslim citizens, we have an enormous resource. The focus is on the minority who are a threat to us all. But the daily stories of the vast majority of our Muslim friends and neighbours combine the values that bind Britain together as a liberal democracy with their particular religious identity. I'm thinking of the humanitarian work of the British charity Islamic Relief in the world's poorest communities, which raises £40 million annually to alleviate the suffering of the world's poorest people. I'm thinking of a British Muslim like the Foreign Minister of Somalia, returning courageously to his country of origin to help rebuild a nation savaged by war. I'm thinking too of scholars at this centre who have made a notable contribution to Islamic scholarship and debate in this country.
Mr. Miliband said that the challenges of climate change, terrorism and the financial crisis required a united effort born of better understanding on both sides, as well as the resolution of conflicts such as that as in the Middle East.